The air in the house felt wrong, heavy with a silence that clung to my skin like damp fog. I stood in the kitchen, my keys still dangling from one hand, the other gripping the edge of the counter as if it could anchor me. The clock on the wall ticked too loudly, each second a hammer against my skull. It was 2:17 p.m., and Sarah wasn't supposed to be home. Her car wasn't in the driveway, but her shoes, those red heels she wore to work, were scattered by the door, one tipped over like it had been kicked off in a hurry. My stomach twisted, a cold knot tightening as I noticed the faint hum of voices drifting from upstairs. I'd come home early, a rare break from the construction site where dust and sweat were my constant companions. I'd planned to surprise her, maybe cook that pasta she loved, the one with the basil she said reminded her of our first date. But the house didn't smell of basil or her perfume. It smelled of something sharper, like cedar and musk, foreign, invasive. My boots felt too heavy as I moved toward the stairs, each step creaking under my weight, announcing me to the empty hall. The voices grew clearer, a low murmur punctuated by a laugh. Her laugh, soft and unguarded, the kind she used to save for me. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a friend had stopped by. Maybe she'd taken an early day too, and they were catching up. But my pulse thundered in my ears, and my hands shook as I climbed, each step pulling me closer to something I wasn't ready to face. The bedroom door was ajar, a sliver of light spilling into the hall, and I froze, my breath catching as I heard it, a low, throaty moan unmistakably hers. My heart lurched, a wild animal trapped in my chest, clawing to get out. I pushed the door open, slow and deliberate, because part of me wanted to be wrong, needed to be wrong. They didn't notice me at first. Sarah was on the bed, her hair spilling across the pillow we shared, her body tangled in sheets I'd bought her for our anniversary. The man, broad-shouldered, dark-haired, his shirt half unbuttoned, leaned over her, his lips grazing her neck. The sight burned into my retinas, a snapshot I'd never unsee. My throat closed, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't think past the raw, jagged pain slicing through me. "Sarah," I said, my voice a stranger's, low and cracked. They froze, her eyes snapping to mine, wide with panic. The man scrambled back, his face a mask of shock, but it was her expression that gutted me. Guilt, yes, but something else too, something like defiance, as if I'd interrupted something she was entitled to. "Matt," she gasped, clutching the sheet to her chest. You're home early." The man fumbled for his shoes, muttering something incoherent, but I didn't care about him. My eyes were locked on her, on the woman I'd loved for 8 years, the woman I'd built a life with, the woman who'd promised me forever in a church filled with roses and tears. Why? The word tore out of me, raw and jagged, carrying every ounce of my heartbreak. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her lips trembling. "I didn't mean for you to see this," she said finally, her voice small, like that could soften the betrayal. The man was at the door now, trying to slip past me, but I grabbed his arm, my grip tight enough to bruise. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice shaking with rage I could barely contain. "Matt, don't," Sarah pleaded, scrambling out of bed, the sheet trailing behind her like a ghost. "This is Ryan. He's just a friend." "A friend?" I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that echoed in the room. "You don't fuck your friends, Sarah." Ryan yanked his arm free, his face flushed with embarrassment or fear. I couldn't tell which. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married," he said, his hands raised like he could ward off my anger. But his eyes darted to her, and I saw it. The flicker of a lie, the shared secret they thought I was too stupid to catch. "Get out," I said, my voice low, dangerous. He didn't argue, just grabbed his jacket and bolted down the stairs. The front door slammed, leaving me alone with her, the silence heavier than before. Sarah was crying now, tears streaking her face, but they didn't move me. Not anymore. "Matt, I'm so sorry," she sobbed, reaching for me. I stepped back, her touch like a brand I couldn't bear. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" I echoed, my voice rising despite myself. "How long, Sarah? How long have you been lying to me?" She hesitated, and that pause was an answer in itself. "A few months," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it didn't mean anything. I swear, Matt, I love you." The words hit like a slap, not because they were true, but because they were so hollow. I thought of the late nights she'd blamed on work, the unanswered texts, the way her laughter had started to feel rehearsed. The signs had been there, small and insidious, but I'd ignored them, chalking it up to stress, to life, to anything but this. I'd trusted her, loved her so fiercely I'd blinded myself to the truth. I turned away, my hands clenched into fists, the urge to smash something. Anything, almost overwhelming. The room felt too small, the walls closing in, the air thick with her perfume and his cologne. I stumbled to the dresser, my fingers brushing the framed photo of us at the lake last summer. Her smile wide and unguarded, mine full of hope. I wanted to hurl it against the wall, watch it shatter like my trust, but I couldn't move. "Matt, please," she said, her voice breaking. "Talk to me. We can fix this." Fix this. I spun to face her, my anger boiling over. "You broke us, Sarah. You broke me." My voice cracked, and I hated how vulnerable it made me sound. How much I still wanted her to explain it away, to make it all a nightmare I could wake from. She sank onto the bed, her shoulders shaking with sobs, but I couldn't comfort her. Not when every fiber of me screamed with betrayal. I thought of the nights I'd spent planning our future. Kids, a house by the coast, growing old together. All of it was ash now, scattered by her choices. Then I saw it. Her phone, half buried under the sheets, the screen still lit. I grabbed it before she could stop me, my fingers trembling as I swiped it open. She hadn't changed her password. The messages were right there, a thread with Ryan that stretched back months. I scrolled, each word a fresh wound, flirtations, plans, promises. "I can't stop thinking about you," she'd written just yesterday. "Matt's working late again. Come over." My vision blurred, not with tears but with rage. I looked at her, and she shrank under my gaze, her face pale. "You planned this," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "You invited him here, into our home, our bed." "Matt," she started, but I cut her off. "No," I held up the phone, the evidence glowing in my hand. "You don't get to talk your way out of this." I wanted to hurt her, to make her feel the agony tearing through me. And then I saw it. The perfect way to twist the knife. I opened her messages, found Ryan's contact, and typed, "Matt knows. It's over. Don't come back." I hit send, then forwarded the entire thread to my phone. Evidence, leverage, proof. She'd never escaped the weight of what she'd done. "Matt, what are you doing?" she asked, her voice frantic as she lunged for the phone. I held it out of reach, my eyes locked on hers. "You wanted him," I said, each word deliberate, cutting. "Now you get to live with the consequences." I walked out, her sobs echoing behind me, but I didn't look back. Downstairs, I grabbed my keys, my jacket, and the bottle of whiskey we'd been saving for a special occasion. The irony wasn't lost on me. As I stepped outside, the cold air hit my face, sharp and grounding. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay. Not in that house, not with her. The whiskey burned my throat as I sat in my truck, the engine idling. My phone buzzed, her name on the screen. A call I wouldn't answer. Let her stew. Let her drown in her guilt. I'd loved her with everything I had, and she'd thrown it away. But I wasn't broken, not yet. I'd rebuild, piece by jagged piece. And when I did, I'd make sure she knew what she'd lost. The messages on my phone were my weapon, my proof, my revenge. She'd never outrun the truth, and neither would he.